Hey everyone, welcome to Located Locum webinar. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes. As you can see, there's still a lot of attendees joining the webinar. And obviously, as everyone knows, you've had to download a little bit of software with GoToWebinar. So just give everyone 2 minutes and then we'll get started. Thank you. Okay, I can see we have the majority of our attendees in the webinar, so we'll just get started now.
Hello everyone and welcome to our first locum pharmacist and tech and dispenser webinar. My name is Lauren Fullerton and I'm the digital marketing specialist at Located Locum, and I'm being joined today by Stevie McIntyre, who is our marketing manager. We understand that we have some pre-regis joining us today too, so we'll try our best to gear this webinar towards you too so that it's relevant and so you'll be fully equipped to sign up to Located Locum following this webinar. Should you have any questions after the webinar ends, please feel free to send us an email at info@locatedlocum.com and either myself or Stevie will try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through a couple of housekeeping rules. Thanks for the introduction, Lauren. We're going to try and make this webinar as interactive as possible. We have a couple of poll questions littered throughout the webinar, and just give your honest answers to us. There's also a chat box and a questions box. So if you want to have chat with other attendees, work away, and we'll contribute to that where possible. Also, there's the questions box. Again, if you want to ask questions, we're also joined by Sammy, our compliance team lead. So he can answer some compliance questions, and for everything else, pop them in and we'll try and give the best answers we can, bearing in mind that we're in the marketing team. So we'll give high level answers, and if there's anything we can't answer, then we'll be happy to pass that on to the internal team and they'll get back to you. One other thing, just to note, we just like to put on record a huge thanks to all the locums and particularly everyone in the pharmacy industry who's worked on the front line during the COVID-19 crisis. Your work's invaluable, and we appreciate everyone taking the time and working through Located Locum. So just to get that on record. So without further ado, I'll pass back to Lauren, who will take us through the next part, what's included in the webinar.
Okay, so let's begin by looking at the layout of what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to kick this off with rates. We've had a lot of questions from locums asking about this and looking to know who sets the rates and how exactly they are decided. Following on from this, we will then discuss our rate negotiation feature. A lot of you might not have realised this to be an option on our app, so we're going to show you how it works through a quick live demo. Following on from this, we will also go through the benefits of using it and the importance of applying consistently, highlighting the magic number of shifts that you need to apply to in order to increase your chances of winning a shift. We receive a lot of calls from locums who are in the onboarding stages of joining us and are always looking to know more information about how to get approved, what documents that they need in order to get started, and how and where they can get these from. So finalising our webinar, we're going to go through that, and we're also going to go through our community reward scheme that you can avail of, how you can join and what are the benefits. But firstly, we're going to do a poll to get an overview of who is on the webinar today.
Yeah, so as Lauren says, we're going to be jumping in and out of the presentation to do the polls. It's not the smoothest. It's not the smoothest process, so bear with us as we do this. So the first poll is just to get an idea of who's on the webinar, what's your job role. So as we launch the poll, you'll have the option on your screen to click and answer. So we'll usually give about 20 seconds for you guys to come back with your answers, and then we'll have maybe a little bit of discussion if there's anything interesting that comes out of the poll. And again, just bear with us with popping in and out of the presentation for the polls. It could be a lot smoother. Okay, I'll close that off. That's been 20 seconds. And we'll just share the results. So yeah, as we expected, obviously a huge majority of pharmacists who are on the polls are on the webinar, and technicians and dispensers. There's a couple of others. And so obviously we were offering more technician and dispenser roles available on our website as the days go by. And obviously pharmacy is our bread and butter. So that's as we expected. We're also going to do another quick poll just to find out what region people are based in, and just that'll shape some of what we're talking about in the webinar. Again, just leave this for about 10 more seconds just to get an idea of who's on the webinar. Okay, thanks everyone for completing that. Share results. Okay, so yeah, again, as we expected, huge majority of English pharmacists on the webinar. So that'll shape us how we move forward with the presentation, and we'll just pop back into the presentation now.
Okay, so let's start this off by talking about everything that you need to know about rates. I'm sure at some point you might have been unhappy with the rates offered on our app for your region. And up until this point, you might not have known this, but Locum Locum do not set the rates for the shifts that are offered. These rates are actually set by the pharmacies themselves, and they have access to our platform to be able to set these rates. On average, we post about 20,000 shifts per month, making it virtually impossible for us to be placing the rates that are being offered. But we have actually taken on board what you've said and have taken on board your feedback. And what we've done is we've created our rate negotiation feature, which allows you to negotiate these rates with the pharmacy to try and get a higher rate or get mileage added as an additional bonus. It will then be up to the pharmacy to accept or decline your negotiations with them. We're going to be taking you through a quick demo of that shortly, but firstly, we thought it would be beneficial for you if we showed you some of the rates in different areas across the UK before and after COVID-19 hit, so that you have an overview of the rates in different areas. So at the moment, most of you are aware, pharmacies are currently at their busiest, and this is reflected in the rates being offered by pharmacies throughout the UK. So we've seen shifts posted on our marketplace at over £50 per hour, which would be similar to high demand times like Christmas holidays. In 2018 and 2019, we conducted a rate study, which some of you might remember. It highlighted the rates offered by pharmacies in different areas during peak holiday periods such as Christmas, summer and Ramadan. So we decided that we would take these stats and do like a comparison to show you where the highest location for rates are. So as you can see here, we have provided a breakdown of 2020 rates for locums from the beginning of January. The average hourly pay for a locum pharmacist is in and around £23.99 across the UK. The average based on our research since the crisis has hit is significantly higher. As you can see here, Northern Ireland's top shift rate during the pandemic hasn't shot up that much, and the rates have stayed fairly reasonable, with the top rate actually being £30 per hour in the first week or two of the new year. This is a really stark contrast to the north of England, where we can see that top rates per hour have exceeded peak holiday times, with the highest being offered in and around £50 per hour, all recorded in the first 2 to 3 weeks of March this year. Moving across now to the south of England and Wales, we actually see the rates offered being at their highest during the new year, which is generally to be expected. So similar to Northern Ireland in that respect, but actually double the rate, bringing the top rate here to between £50 and £65 per hour, which is really quite interesting. I actually think that £65 per hour on the 1st of January in fish ponds is our top rate overall in the UK so far. And finally then we have Scotland. So here we see the top rate being in and around £50 to £51, with the highest rate per hour being offered on the 18th of March, which is probably to be expected as March was the month for the peak of COVID-19. We are now going to do another poll before moving on to our live demo.
Yeah, as Lauren said, we're going to do another poll. Now, this is just to get an idea of does everyone know how we have a rate negotiation feature, and does everyone know how to use it? So just again, be as honest as possible here. I'm just going to launch the poll, and I'll give 20 seconds for everyone to submit their answers. Well, it's jumping about a lot, and the percentages, I can see it live on my screen, which is really interesting. So just give 2 more seconds for everyone. Okay, I think that's everyone. So we'll just close the poll and I'll share the results. So that's really interesting. Obviously, there's 58% of people who are on the webinar don't know how to use the rate negotiation app feature on the app. So fantastic that we're going to show a demo of how to use it. It's also worth noting that we have a full help center available, and there's help guides on the marketplace section of that help center. They'll help locums in the day-to-day activity of using the app, as well as using the desktop version of the site. We also have a YouTube channel that'll help locums use the app, and there'll be a lot of tutorials on there where we walk you through various features. So we'll just pop it back onto the presentation, and then we will go through the demonstration of it.
So why are we showing you all this? Well, we wanted to show you that in areas that are really saturated with pharmacists, in areas such as like Birmingham, for instance, we have found that a lot of locums are starting to travel slightly outside of their radius to avail of higher shifts. So just to give you a quick live example of this, and this is subject obviously to change, but we have shifts available at the moment in Birmingham for £21.50 per hour. But if you go into Birmingham on the app and sort by highest rate, you can actually expand your radius and see that Solihull, which is like 25 miles outside Birmingham, there's a shift going there for £27 per hour, which is basically an extra £5 per hour that you're getting. Same with shifts like Greater London that are in and around £23 per hour. If you travel 20 miles outside a bit to the likes of Surrey, we see rates there as high as £28. And a lot of the time in situations where the pharmacy is urgently needing cover, they will also offer pay mileage. Again, this is something that you can negotiate on the app too. So yeah, just a preview really of what you could be earning if you're willing to commute. So we'll move on now to rate negotiation and how it works in practice. So majority of the time, a shift without an application is quite rare. Most pharmacies are generally able to get a locum at the rates that are advertised. So if you're looking for work but at a higher rate, please remember that you can definitely get this and will have a higher chance of winning a shift by looking a little bit outside of your radius. In some cases, emergency shifts might get advertised last minute, and due to the urgency of the shift, it then becomes negotiable automatically. We've completed extensive research and data analysis to create an algorithm that places the ability to negotiate on typically hard to fill shifts. It is then up to the pharmacy to accept or decline the negotiation. So let's just quickly go over how to use the rate negotiation feature. You will have the opportunity to negotiate both shift rate and or mileage via your mobile. This will be a direct communication line to the shift coordinator, who will also have access to negotiations via their app, so you'll find out much quicker if the pharmacy is willing to pay the rates that you have requested, allowing you to either book the day or look for alternative work. So here's how it works. Beside the apply button on the job shift page, a negotiated rate button will appear. Clicking this will open up a model containing the following fields. So a proposed rate box, text box, which will allow you to submit a rate, a checkbox requiring full mileage, and a reason text box which must be filled out giving a reason why you might want a higher rate. Just to note, this message will go straight to the employer, so the note box must not be used to negotiate shift rates. Shifts must be negotiated via the proposed rate text box. So here we can see a really quick demonstration of what this would look like in practice for you. So just quickly to finalise on rate negotiation, we often wonder if rate negotiation will encourage more negotiations to take place. And our data and research actually shows that over 60% of work shifts are currently negotiated, which is really great to see. The main goal of the rate negotiation feature is to cut down on the administration time for yourselves as locums, pharmacies and us at Locum Locum, but please do remember that the final decision on which rates are accepted still lies with the pharmacy and not with ourselves. Okay, so that concludes our rates part of this webinar. Hopefully some of that information was helpful, and should you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to pop them into the question box on the right-hand side of the screen, and either myself or Stevie will be able to answer them as we go through this webinar. Moving on to our next poll, have you ever been unsuccessful when you've applied for a shift through us?
Okay, so again, another poll. Thanks to everyone for your participation so far. It's been really great insights for our team. Just going to launch this next one. This will give us an insight that if the next part of the webinar is particularly useful for you, because we're going to go through how to maybe be more successful. So again, we'll give about 20 seconds to allow everyone to complete the poll, and I can see the answers are flying through, which is really some really interesting insights. So I'll just close that off now. Looks like 100% of the people have voted, so I can do that now. Okay, I'll share the results. So have you ever been unsuccessful? You've applied for a shift with Untitled Locum. 66% of people have been unsuccessful. Interested? No, I've never been unsuccessful. We didn't expect to see anything there. So again, that's what we expected. I've never applied for a shift, only browsed them. I presume that these are people who have only recently signed up with Untitled Locum and are still trying to get their profiles approved with our compliance team. But you can apply for shifts, and you can see how it works. It just won't go to the shift coordinator at the pharmacy side. So feel free to browse and apply when you're on the app or desktop version. We'll just jump back into the presentation, and Lauren's going to be taking us through how to try and be more successful whenever you're applying for shifts.
And apologies again if the sound dips in and out. Of course, we're working from home at the minute, so it's quite difficult. But thank you as well for your participation.
Okay, brilliant. Cheers, man.
Okay, so moving on now to applications and looking into unsuccessful shift applications. We get asked about this a lot and wanted to add this into our webinar because getting a knockback from a shift can be really disheartening for a lot of people. And we wanted to just highlight that there may be a few reasons as to why you have been unsuccessful for this shift. Firstly, it is more than possible that you might not have won a shift this time and on this occasion because it has actually been allocated to somebody internally or by a direct locum, which is someone who has worked in a particular pharmacy or in this particular pharmacy on a previous occasion. Secondly, from our data, we can see that pharmacists on average get booked onto 45% of the shifts that they apply for. With this in mind, the best way to increase your chances is to apply for more shifts. We would advise that you apply for at least 4 shifts at one time. The app also ensures that you'll never be double booked, so there's no need for any concern regarding this. Another reason why you might not have booked a shift with us or been booked onto a shift is because maybe you feel like there is no suitable shifts in your area. This might be particularly the case for our technicians and dispensers, and we wanted to just clarify that over the coming weeks we will have thousands more shifts being uploaded to our system, so please do stay engaged with the app and keep checking back on it. Aside from this, once again, we do encourage you to look beyond your radius, as not only will you be able to avail of higher rates, but you'll also be opening yourself up to more opportunities. Lastly, Another way of increasing your chances of getting booked is completing as much CPD as possible and gaining accreditations such as MUR and flu jab training. At the moment, this is something that Locum Locum is looking to offer, so please keep an eye out on any upcoming emails for you to express your interest in this. These are the things that pharmacy managers and coordinators often look for when booking locums into vacant shifts. It is important to just also highlight that if you have recently signed up and applied for shifts through us, but you have not heard anything back, this may be because your profile has not yet been approved. Profiles can only be approved once all professional details have been completed. These include DBS check, professional indemnity insurance, and a scanned copy of your passport. Once you have uploaded these essential documents, our compliance officer will get you approved and you can start to get booked onto shifts straight away. We are now going to do another poll to ask, have you uploaded your documents to our app? Following this, we will then preview a live demonstration of how to upload your documents to show you how quick and easy it is to do.
Okay guys, it's that time again, time for another poll. Thanks everyone for bearing with us here. I know the sound's dropping in and out for some people. Hopefully the majority of people are finding the sound okay. So this poll is about uploading your documents. I noticed there was sort of 34% of people who in the previous poll hadn't yet applied for shifts. So one can presume that they potentially aren't approved on our platform. It'd be just interesting to know how many people have uploaded all their documents. And then we have, like I said before, we have Sammy, who's our compliance team lead, who can take you through how to get those uploaded. So if you do have any questions about compliance in particular, or getting your profile approved, or even getting it up to scratch so you're more successful with applications, Sammy and the guys can help you through that. So I'll just close that poll off. It looks like 100% of the people have now voted. Again, interesting results. So 67% of people who are on this have uploaded all the correct documents. And then there's 33% of people on the webinar who haven't. Again, this next part of the webinar is going to be particularly useful. And I definitely make use of the resource of Sammy on the call in the questions box. Like I say, he's very experienced in sort of healthcare compliance, so he can take you through exactly what you need to get approved and start winning shifts. So we'll pop back into the presentation and Lauren will take us through the next part. Yeah, okay guys, I'm going to take you through to the poll again. So this poll, the purpose of this poll is just to understand how many people know what documents to upload. Again, for the 66% of people who are already approved, this might not be applicable, but to the rest, it will. So just give you 20 seconds to fill this out, and then Sammy will maybe answer a few questions. I'll read these questions out to Sammy, and Sammy can jump in and answer some of the questions that are come through. And there's actually there's around 40 questions so far. We'll try our best to get through them all at the end of the webinar. Obviously, probably impossible with the time frame that we'll be able to get through all the questions, but if we don't get through your question, we'll be sure to export them from the platform and get back to you via email after the webinar. So I'll just close this poll off. Again, pretty typical of what we expect. Do you know what documents uploaded? 81%. Obviously, the approved users should know because they've uploaded these documents. And then 19% of people don't have a clue. Again, we're here to help this 19% of people, and that's why we have the expert Sammy Chan on the call with us. So I'll just go back to the holding screen again, and I'll call Sammy in now. Sammy, there's some good questions here coming through. I'll just read a couple out, and maybe you can help out with that. So someone's asked, as MERs are being phased out, is it essential to have these on your profile to secure a shift? If you can help with that.
Yep. Is the volume okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's grand. Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah. Perfect. So, no, MERs, they're not essential documents. So, obviously they will help you, maybe secure shifts if, a particular pharmacy does require you to have an MER, to be booked. But for the most part, no, because obviously, it has been phased out. So the MER isn't essential, to get the shift. It would mainly, be the main 3 documents that we need from yourself in order to be approved. And then, from that, once you apply for, say, a boot shift or a well shift, we'll give you information needed, what is required from them to complete your registration with them as well, to complete the shifts.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sammy. Hopefully, Deepa and Anna, that answers your questions. There's 2 that came in MERs as they're being phased out in England. Sammy, another one on compliance from John here. He wants to know, how long does it typically take to get approved from sign up?
So myself and the team, we check everything daily. So if you have everything uploaded, your passport, your indemnity insurance, and your enhanced police check, you can get approved in 24 hours. And even if you want to speed that up a bit more, say you get everything uploaded in the morning, even if you just give us a call or fire us an email, we can jump on that straight away and have you approved within, say, 10-15 minutes of you speaking to someone.
Okay, thanks, Sammy. And then Anna here, do the team typically help out with uploading the documents if you're not very technical?
Yep, absolutely. We're always here to help you make things as easy as possible for you. So, if you are having a bit of trouble, or maybe you're not too sure, how to upload documents, feel free to send them into the info@locatedlocum.com email. Just ask us to upload it, and we can get that done for you and get you approved through that as well.
Another one, Sammy, for you. You're getting fired all the questions here. So this is from Cozy. She wants to know, what about dispensers? Is there anything particular dispensers need to do to get approved in the system? Is that different to what pharmacists need to do?
Yep. So it would be slightly different. Obviously, we do need your photographed ID. Preferably your passport to get uploaded. If required, obviously your biometric residence pass. But we would need to see your MVQ level 2 certificate or equivalent. So if you are studying to become a pharmacist, but you're not fully qualified yet, you can send us in the evidence of your degree, or even a letter from the university, and we can get you approved that way as well.
Okay, fantastic. Stop bombarding you, Sammy. For the moment, there's a lot more compliance coming through, compliance questions coming through. Actually, we'll do one more. There's a really good one here. Can pre-regis apply for shifts?
Yep. So, well, not pharmacist shifts, unfortunately. We would have need you to be fully qualified. However, you can you can, apply for dispensarships. All you need to do, if you have signed up as a pharmacist or, pre-registered on the website, just let us know. We can get your account changed to, a dispenser account until, you are fully qualified as a dispenser. And then, once that's been done, we can then change your account back. But you'll only be able to apply for, technician and dispenser accounts if you are pre-reg.
Okay, fantastic, Sammy. We will let you off the hook this time. Like I say, there's a huge help centre as part of Located Locum as well, which I'll link out to everyone after the webinar. And a lot of these questions are actually easily accessible, the answers to them in our FAQ section. So I'll make sure I do that afterwards. And there's a general compliance section that Sammy and the team have really helpfully put together with a lot of intricacies about what to apply for and what you need, depending on job roles. So I'll be sure to share that out, and like Sammy said, his team are always on hand to help out with any compliance issues at all, and they're very quick to respond as well. So I'll just pop back into the presentation and we'll get through some more questions at the end. Yeah, guys, thanks. Just echoing what Lauren was saying in the video there. Huge thanks for everyone for attending. Hopefully everyone found that useful. The community, just to reiterate what we're saying there, the community, hopefully everyone's heard about it. If you haven't, then the marketing team maybe we need to buck up their ideas, and that's me included. So you should have heard about the community. The idea is that if you work 10 shifts in 90 days, you get access to the community. We're trying to make the community as engaging as possible. It's not just the perks, the high street perks that you get. It's about being part of a team. Often as a locum, you might feel isolated and you don't have any teammates, but we want you guys to interact and get engaged as part of Located Locum Locums. So we'll be doing a lot more communications in the coming weeks and months about the community. So hopefully everyone, the 70% of people who are applying for shifts and actively winning shifts on the platform, will be eligible for that as soon as possible, and we can get you all joined up, and you can start benefiting from being part of it. So now that we're on the Q&A, maybe we'll go through a couple more of the questions. I can answer some and Lauren can answer some. Like I say, I don't think we're going to get through all of them. There's around 60 now questions. So hopefully we will. There's a question about, is there technician and dispenser shifts available? Yes, the answer to that is yes, there are shifts available. Technicians and dispensers are as big a priority for Located Locum as pharmacists, in terms of getting shifts. So as and when we get shifts through from the pharmacies, we'll be adding them straight to the platform where you can access them and apply, and it's the same process as pharmacists. So yeah, I'll keep moving on. I'm just scrolling through the questions. Like I said, there's a lot. Yeah, how often does the homepage, the shift page, get refreshed? So as and when we get the shifts through from the pharmacies, they're posted, either they come through to us or the pharmacies themselves post them. So I suppose it's up to the pharmacies how often they post them. They're live almost instantaneous on the platform, and there's a variety of filters on the platform that you can find the right shift for you. So yeah, that's that one answered.
I'm just on that as well. Sorry to cross-cut you there, Stevie. But we are going to have more technician and dispenser shifts being uploaded in the coming weeks. So like I said before, and just to reiterate, do keep an eye out on your app for that.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Lauren. Sammy, there's another one for you here. Is there anything in terms of accreditations you particularly recommend pharmacists getting that increase their chances of winning shifts?
Yeah, so not necessarily increase chance of winning shifts, but really just to get registered with the pharmacies that we provide shifts for as well. The likes of Well Pharmacy, Superdrug, Boots, Lloyd's, all of the ones that reoccur, the ones I'm going to speak over, mainly in England, they'd be level 2 safeguarding, repeat dispensing, the dementia friends. I think those are the main 3 that usually pharmacies will look for. As well as that, if you haven't already, I know this is one of our essential documents. So obviously if you are applying for shifts and getting your shifts, you will have an enhanced DBS. But I would recommend having a look into the update service for the DBS. Obviously this isn't really recommended at the moment, with everything going on. However, whenever things do get back to normal, they will start to be asking for the update service again, for the likes of Well Pharmacy and Boots. So you just keeping that in mind. I would highly recommend, that'd be the main thing we'd recommend, would be the update service for the DBS.
Okay, brilliant. And Sammy, there's another question here from Rebecca. How old can the DBS certificate be to be accepted?
Yeah, great question. So at the moment there, it's 3 years. So from the issue date, 3 years, we can accept that and get you approved. However, it was 1 year. It will soon, by the end of the year here, we will go again back to the 1 year. Just to keep really everything updated, our compliance, as high as possible, really. And just to make sure everything is safe going on, really.
Okay, great. Cheers, Sammy. And there's a couple of questions here about the variety of shifts with different pharmacies. So we work with the majority of the main pharmacies within the UK, the large chain pharmacies, as well as hundreds and hundreds of independent pharmacies. So there's a huge variety of different organisations you can work for through the platform. So you can go through and you can see that when you click into a shift, you can see who has posted the shift in terms of organisation. So you can be if you've got your favourite organisation you want to work for, you can look through the platform and book particularly onto those. Okay, so I'm just wary that the webinar, we've got 1 minute left of the webinar. I'm just looking at something that's really really particular to the webinar. There's another question here about rates. So is there any areas that have high rates of pay in particular? So that's the vendor. So what I would say is Yes, there's the areas that are less saturated with locums, and pharmacists would have the better rates of pay. So if you travelled, I think Lauren mentioned it in the webinar, if you travelled outside a city, for instance, saturated area city, you could potentially get a lot more per hour, as well as mileage cover from the pharmacies. We also offer stayaways, which are block bookings in sometimes quite remote regions. So we've had Isle of Skye stayaways, Isle of Wight stayaways. So if you were looking to get a good rate for maybe a couple of weeks, there would be absolutely no issue with booking a stayaway, and those will be blocks of shifts. And we actually have a dedicated member of the team who focuses on stayaways. So if you're particularly interested in that, drop us an email afterwards and we'll pair you guys up and you can talk about what's available, especially as people maybe aren't getting holidays this year. So yeah, that sort of draws the webinar to close. I'm aware that there's about 30 questions that we didn't get through in the webinar. So what I'll do is I will send an email personally to everyone who has asked a question, and I'll try and get the best answer possible. And I'll consult with the team as well, because there's a few complicated ones in here that I'm just not quite qualified to answer. So yeah, I suppose to wrap up, I'd just like to say thank you very much for taking 40 minutes out of your Wednesday evening. We know you guys are busy, and we do appreciate everyone who's joined us. And again, just to reinforce the fact that we appreciate the work that you're doing to sort of keep the nation healthy at this time. As well, the marketing team at Located Locum, we send out a weekly email to you guys. Feel free to reply to that email if you've got any suggestions about what should be included, or if you've noticed anything, or you want to share some good news stories, because we could definitely do with those at the minute. So yeah, and I suppose handing over to Sammy and Lauren just to do their outros.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here, Stevie. So if you enjoyed this webinar, please go across to our Instagram story or Facebook story, and just I've put up a poll there now. So just vote like yes or no, you know, if you enjoyed it or you found it helpful. And as always, like, we really appreciate your feedback. So if you want to send us a message, letting us know, you know, some topics for our next webinar, we'd really appreciate that.
And Sammy?
Yep. Yeah, thanks very much for having me on here. And you know, if anyone else does have any questions at all, feel free to send us an email in. You know, we can be sent to myself, and I can get back to you personally as well. Any help regarding any compliance questions whatsoever.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, everyone. Again, I'm working through the questions to reply already, so keep an eye on your inbox. And again, thank you very much for attending. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.